Sup nerds, here's my Agumon deck profile. Starting off with our Tamer, we are playing 4 BT14 Agumon. Your turn once per turn. When a card is moved from your opponent's security stack, draw 1. This is the best one because we're not always swinging with a Greymon, so it's better to have this than the BT5 Agumon, which is when attacking once per turn, this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, draw 1. That is it for the Tamer, obviously. Can't play more than 5. On to the rookies. We are playing 4 BT12 Agus. Does Evo on top of Agumon for 0, which is very useful. On play, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, add a Greymon or Omnimon and 1 Tamer with Taikamiya in its name, put the rest on the bottom of your deck, blah blah blah. All turns inheritable. While this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon, it gets 1000 DP. This is the only searcher in the deck, actually. I was going to say best, but it's actually the only one. This searches for all but one of your Tamers and obviously like your Greymon pieces, which we are playing quite a few in this version, so it's a very good card to see early. And then we're playing 4 BT14 Agus, also Evos on top of Agumon, which is relevant for 0. And then start your main phase. If you have a Tamer with Taikamiya in its name, you can Evo this card into Greymon in your hand without paying the cost. Very, very helpful. And inheritable, your turn while Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon, it gets 2000 DP. And then we are playing 4 promo number 9 Agumons. Is a vanilla, but does have the inheritable. Your turn while Digimon has Greymon in its name, it gets 2000 DP. We're not playing any Omnimon, so this is effectively the same exact inheritable as that. It's just your turn plus 2k on all of your Greymons. And then we are playing 3 starter deck 7 Agumons. Inheritable when attacking. When this Digimon attacks a player, it gets 2000 DP for the turn. There's not currently any way to unsuspend in this deck, but for some reason, if you were to unsuspend, you could trigger this effect again for a second time or whatever. And then our last Agumon, we are playing 1 BT17 Agu, also Evos on top of Agumon for 0. And then start your main phase. If you have a Tamer with Taikamiya in its name, return 1 card with Garurumon, Greymon, or Omnimon in its name from your trash to the hand. And inheritable is irrelevant. We're not playing DNAs in this deck. I ended up cutting this card from 4 to 1 after testing because I realized that you definitely need DP in this deck to combat your worst matchups, which are Mother Control and Tyrant. You just need to get big very consistently to beat over stuff like that like you can't really interact with otherwise. And that is it. We're playing 16 rookies. Oops, all Agus. On to our champions. We're playing 4 BT17 Greymon. So this can Evo on top of an Agumon in name, level 3 Agumon in name for 2 memory, or you can Evo for 3 on top of all of your Agus. Up to you if you want to choke your opponent or something like that. Then when Digivolving and this Digimon is Agumon, it gets 3000 DP for the turn, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with as much or less DP as this Digimon. So this combined with all of your DP gain effects, you can actually delete Megas with this effect if the game has gone long enough and you've seen certain cards. And then all turns, this Digimon gains all the names of level 3 or lower cards in its Digivolution cards. So what's cool about this is if you Evo on top of your Agumon that has Agumon underneath, you can actually then Evo one of your Agus that Evos on top of Koro and then Evo into another one of these guys. And so like you can pop potentially 2 bodies and make this guy like +6 just from his own effect or from each one of their effects. Really cool. And you can stack the on deletion effects, which is really nice. So the on deletion, you may play 1 Tamer card with Taikamiya or Kamiya in its name from your hand without paying the cost, or hatch in your breeding area. And the inheritable is the exact same effect. So if you can stack these on top of each other, you can potentially like just have a little pinata that just poops out a bunch of Tamers and rehatches you, which is really cool. And then we are of course still playing 4 promo number 10 Greymons. Does Evo for 2 on top of all of our red rookies. And then your turn while Digimon has Agumon in its sources, it gains security attack +1. It will literally always have that. All of our rookies are Agumon. That's another reason why I wanted DP in all of my rookies, is because this guy swinging for 7,000+ DP for 2 checks. If he survives the first check, your opponent is very far behind if this is like your turn 2 play, and it demands an answer immediately. And then we are playing 1 Burning Gray from BT7. Does Evo on top of one of your red Tamers for 2 memory. We're not playing this because it has Greymon in its name, because it actually does not. This is not the actual official name of this card, so you cannot search it with your BT12 Agu, so that's something to keep in mind. You cannot add it back with the BT17 Agu. It's actually like Vitrimon or something like that, but when Digivolving, blah blah blah, I'm not even going to read that effect because it's never going to apply. The only reason we're playing playing this is to potentially hybrid for game or be able to play under ruin mode because it has 6000 DP, and that is it. Other than it being red and a level 4, it has no synergy with the rest of the deck. And that is it. We're just playing 9 champions. On to our ultimates. We are playing 3 Metal Greymon Ace from BT14. Does Evo on top of level 4 with Greymon in name for 3 memory. This is actually very useful because the BT17 Greymon is not red. He is white. So if this did not have the stipulation, you could not Evo on top of him, unfortunately. But he does have that alternate Evo condition, so we're cool. So it obviously is an ace card, blah, blah, blah. On play / when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less. I really wish this effect was better. The only reason we're playing this is because it's basically the best level 5 to play in this deck, because spoilers, we are playing this Wargray, and your opponent can potentially play around it or be playing a deck that is just never going to have its alternate Evo condition live. So having a level 5 so you can actually like go up into it at will is necessary. And this card's obviously searchable off of the Agumon. But nice little ace target, pop small bodies, whatever. Just 3 of those guys. And then for our megas, we are playing 4 War Greymon from BT14. Does Evo on top of level 5 with Greymon in name for 4 memory, or just any red level 5 for 4. And then while you have a Tamer with Taikamiya in its name and your opponent has a Digimon with 10,000 DP or more, one of your Agumon may Digivolve into this card in your hand for an Evo cost of 4, ignoring its Digivolution requirements. And then when Digivolving, this Digimon gains Raid for the turn, then it may attack, which is actually much better than having Blitz. Bandai has obviously realized that because they don't really give Blitz to things anymore. They give it like this kind of effect. And then when attacking, if you have a Tamer, this Digimon gains Security Attack +1 and Piercing for the turn. So this guy lets you just raid into your opponent's stuff, pierce through it for 2 checks. He's going to be ginormous because of all of our DP gain effects. And then it forces your opponent to answer it. Otherwise, he's just going to be swinging for 2 checks piercing the following turn as well. But that is it, just playing 4 level 6s. On to our level 7s. We are playing 4 Agumon of Bravery from the LM set. So this does Evo for 3 on top of your level 6s. Or he has an alternate Evo condition of while you have 2 or fewer security cards, he Evos on top of Agumon for 3 memory. And he obviously is an ace, and his on play / when Digivolving, delete up to this Digimon's DP's total worth of your opponent's Digimon. So with all of your DP gain effects, this guy can basically just nuke an entire board every time he comes out, as long as their stuff can be affected by Digimon effects. And then when attacking once per turn, if you have a Tamer, trash your opponent's top security card. This Agumon is so much better than the BT6 version. This guy basically always is going to delete something, and they don't have to have anything in play in order for you to just bond them for game if they're at 1 or fewer security, which is very helpful. Thank you. Very cool. What's awesome about this is he's basically like a little Gaia Force in your hand, but you can also blast ace on your opponent's turn on top of an Agumon if you have the security condition met. That is a really cool part of this deck. You can have just a rookie on the field and your opponent will not expect it, and you can just ace into him and it will probably be a blowout. But yeah, otherwise he's just really cool win conditions / Gaia Force in your hand. That's why we're playing 4, because I always want to see it, because unless their stuff is immune or something, you can just pay 8 memory for this guy is still probably going to be pretty good. And then if they don't deal with it, you're going to swing and effectively check 2 security on the following turn. And then we are playing 1 Death X from BT9, 6 to Evo, but we're not Evoing it, 20 play cost. And then when this card would be played, reduce the cost by 3 for each of your opponent's Digimon and Tamers. And then on play / when Digivolving, de-Evo 1 all of your opponent's Digimon, then delete all of your level 4 or lower Digimon, and then end of opponent's turn once per turn, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. So this is good just as a comeback card if your opponent has gone like extremely wide on you for some reason. I wanted to fit 2, but honestly, because of his effect, your opponent's probably not going to be super successful going wide on you very often, because he can also target wide boards because he can target multiple Digimon. And that is it. We're just playing 5 7s. On to our Tamers. We are playing 4 BT6 Taikamiya, 3 cost Tamer. Your turn, when one of your Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name moves from the breeding area to the battle area, gain 1 memory and draw 1 card. And then main, once per turn, Digivolve your Agumon into 1 Agumon Bond of Bravery in your hand for its cost, ignoring its level. If you do, trash the top 2 cards of your security stack. Then if you have 1 or more security cards, delete that Digimon at the end of the turn. So you basically never want to warp into your Ace Bond with this card. You really really just need this for the draw and memory gain that it provides. If it is game, obviously you want to warp, but because it forces you to delete it at the end of turn, you're giving your opponent 5 extra memory because of Ace Overflow. So I would highly recommend not doing that warp effect unless you absolutely have to, unless it's game. And then we are playing 4 BT14 Taikamiya. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this card, never have been. However, this is a concession to some of our worst matchups like Mother Control and Tyrant Kabu. 3-cost Tamer. Start of your main phase, one of your Digimon with the vaccine trait gets 2000 DP for the turn, and then your turn when a card is moved from your opponent's security stack by suspending this Tamer, gain 1 memory. So obviously there are several ways that this card could be better. This could be start of main phase / on play, and it could be until the end of your opponent's turn. Honestly, it would actually be decent if both of those stipulations were added to the card. I don't know why they printed it like this. This card's super mid, but it does have a lot of synergy with the BT17 Greymon deletion effect, as well as buffing all of your stuff. So like if you promote an Agu, you can buff it up quite a bit if you have a few of these on the field. And then if you warp into Bond, you can probably just clear your opponent's entire board, which is pretty cool. And also it does make your war grade bigger, obviously. And then once you pierce for damage, you can gain extra memory back, which is cool. I wish this card was better, but it is necessary in this deck because your stuff is so small. And then we were playing 3 starter deck 15 ties, memory setter, and then all turns when an attack target is switched by suspending this Tamer, draw 1, and one of your Digimon gets 2000 DP until the end of the turn. So this is good for decks that are going to try to redirect you a lot, but also you can trigger this yourself every time you raid with your War Greymon, because raid counts as attack target being switched. So you can just proc this, draw a card, give them an extra 2k, pierce through your opponent's stuff for big damage. And then we are of course playing 1 promo Louis. I really wish I could play 3 of this card again in this deck, but it definitely needed to get hit. 3-cost Tamer. On play, you may move one of your level 3 or higher Digimon from the breeding area to the battle area, and then your turn, one of your Digimon moves from the breeding area to the battle area by suspending this Tamer, gain 1 memory. So this is really good if you have hatched for the turn and have some of these guys set up, as well as like maybe one of these ties. You can Evo into an Agu and then play this, promote. You get a memory rebate on every single one of these guys, and then you can potentially lethal your opponent or deal with their board. Also, something cool is the BT17 Greymon Hatch effect. You could potentially promote twice in one turn if it gets deleted during your turn, because you can hatch, Evo, and then play this Louis and then promote again. Very cool. That is it. We're playing 12 Tamers. And then onto our options. We were just playing just one Gaia Force from starter deck 1. A cost option, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. The securities activate the main effect. I considered Trident Gaia. However, this being able to target anything is definitely always going to beat out Trident Gaia in my opinion, because sometimes the problem card in your opponent's field is not the biggest thing on their field. This is another concession to the Tyrant Kabu matchup, because besides getting huge, which we can do, our only out to it is options, as well as Fanglong, although we probably can swing over that thing, assuming they don't have like an ace setup that's going to blow us out. So just a one of option to potentially, if you run into a deck that's like, hey, I'm immune to stuff, and just be like, okay, well, you're not immune to this. A Gaia Force. And that is it. We're just playing one of those. This deck did win this week's members only poll. If you're interested in voting on those in the future, consider becoming a member. The join button should be where the subscribe button used to be if you're subscribed. I will be posting gameplay for this deck, and once those videos go live, they'll be in the pinned comment below. Also, we do have a community Discord now, so if you're interested in joining that, that will also be in the pinned comment below. But if you guys have any questions and anything I didn't address, feel free to leave them down in the comments. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content. Want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.